So, my name is Katharina Grosse and I'm a painter with a practice that has the intention of using all the mobility that painting offers. So I don't see painting happening only in the studio in terms of addressing an empty canvas, but for me a painting is a mobile thought that develops its being into the given situation. Therefore, my work very much looks like it's happening in borders, where two things meet that don't seem to be very easily negotiable. But I think that border areas are very fascinating spaces where contrasts are very readily being close and being able to say, okay, I have these needs, I have those needs, they might not overlap, but they have to coincide, because that's how we live. Yeah, the invitation was to do something within this new restructuring of Gothenburg, as opening up the main station to commuting, to more flow, to energy flow. And then I spent a lot of time getting to know the city, getting to know the little castle, which looked almost photoshopped with its pasture life within streets, autobahns, like traffic knots and nodes, and yet it comes through in the city. You see it somewhere from everywhere, and it's also the iconic, actually, image of the city, illustrating the city's name. And then I thought, wouldn't it be great if there was something opposite to it, that faces it, that is in dialogue with it visually. So if I did something that was visible from a lot of different places of the city, and yet at the same time dropping right away where this traffic node is actually having like a very condensed moment. So as like you mark a neuralgic spot, such as with a, we sometimes called it an acupuncture needle that vibrates, where it's maybe the most, you could maybe even say unattractive, or let's get past it as fast as we can. And sometimes there is where your attention could be woken up a little, where you at least expect it, I was thinking. So this idea of something flashing up in the corner of your eye, and you blink and you go, it's past already, but there was something. So sometimes a visual sensation can happen to you, and you remember it at the end of the day, and you have maybe seen it only for a second. So I was looking for different ways to understand the work. So it can flash up while you move fast and the thing is steady. But it can also be that you go there and you stay a little, and then it changes, the texture of it changes, you get closer, the scale gets larger, so you have very different ways of looking at the work. You can be really far away, it looks tiny. You can go past it, it's just a click in your eye. You can go close and then all of a sudden it's large. But the rules of painting and the rules of building do not have anything in common, but if you force them into the same field, all of a sudden something happens that has a third or a fourth possibility that you did not see beforehand. And therefore I find the work of Statens konstråd so interesting, because the thinking as an artist can cause a product that is not an artifact per se, but maybe is art without being an exhibit. And this sense of cooperation is something that has nothing to do with doing the same as the other does. I think the basic, actually maybe dynamism of cooperation really comes from people being very, very different, being sometimes even opposed. And this opposition mustn't end in the determination of not wanting the other. So that's maybe the experiment here, that we are bringing things together that do not look very akin, look even hostile to one another in a certain sense. And that hostility is once you strip off the emotional tag attached to hostility and make aggression like an amazing energy rather than an emotional dysfunction in a sense of I'm against something, but aggression as being something getting very close to another person's energy or situation's energy, then maybe we have a chance of finding the hidden qualities of something like that. Yeah, pink has such a strong visibility. It's pink is a color that signals in many different contexts alert, life-saving, for example, has turned from orange to pink because we understand now it's a color that stands out, that tells its difference. It is also a color that is, in terms of steel industry history, not a very used color. It is actually a strange color in that context. It is a color that also has the notion of making something look cute. And I thought in that context it was an interesting thing. It has many notions, I think. It is a toxic color. Magenta is also, it has a little bit something dangerous about it. It's very ambiguous in that sense, between cute and dangerous. And also, color is a very important field of my research, of my emotional knowledge, of my the tradition I work within. So color is something very hard to tell what it does. It is not reliable, such as a drawing or a straight line. It is something that you look at and you respond to in very, very different ways anytime you look at it. It's unpredictable, and it also changes the, I think it transforms the surface and the history of a surface in a very amazing way. It has different textures. The color of it bleeds into the surroundings, influences the surroundings, and the surroundings turn out to be different textures as well, and you can be actually on it, with it, under it. So it is also a sculptural sensation that has a condition which you never have in a museum. I can't paint it like I do my small, intimate paintings in a way. You know, it has to be done in a way that anybody could repair it. Anybody could come and say, we want to freshen it up. So I had to simplify the appearance of the vibrance of color, the emotional impact color can have. I wanted to simplify it for the better handling of it in public space. And therefore I decided to only have one color. But the surfaces are so multifaceted that the light makes it look sparkling. Even the word would be maybe gives it an atmosphere of glamour, of shimmering, of instability. You know, even though it's monochrome. So the development of the rock was coming out of my sculptural work, and to make it appear in that surrounding, it had to be very high. It had to be above you, to be also a little, it had to hang, it had to fall, it had to drop. So it had to have that movement of falling, sitting somewhere, maybe falling on, you know, that moment. It was neither sitting nor hanging. So that's why I wanted it somewhere above you, and the structure under it had to have holes, it had to be open. And because there was the bridge, I thought, oh, that's a great place. So I used something that's already there. And then during the course of time, the conditions changed, kept changing a lot. And we were thinking even of we were reconsidering the site. So there were a lot of things happening all the way. And therefore I like the project of bLINK because it brings together so many different brains to make it actually happen. And that is also a little bit like a spectacle for me to watch, because I just made a little drawing or a little cutting, and then there is Herwig the engineer, and then there is you and the different people from Statens Konstråd and from the city coming together, and then the team from HANA, and they're all asking different questions and have also different concerns about their work that contributes to the work. my studio, having different people bringing different thoughts to it. We constantly talk about it. And I like this kind of work a lot, which is not directly me feeding into the color into a certain surface and making it do something. It is a completely different, let's say, a scale or gradation of. But on the other hand, people together in one room also connect their brains in a way that it brings forward new thoughts, very similar to what I do in my own little scaling. So I think that is a fantastic, so how these brains work together in a sense I find stimulating, and a proposal for how a society could live together. And I think that is really interesting, you know. That you don't get the idea of, oh, it's overwhelming, because it's in relation to the cityscape, it's a speck. It's almost like a little dust in your eye, you know.